Hello, I'm Rusty Beck, and this is Identity, the vlog dedicated to exploring what it means to be human. Today, we interview Greg Slider Raznik's lawyer, Bobby Monroe, about the death penalty, to which his client could be sentenced if found guilty. Mr. Monroe, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Let me start off by asking you, do you believe the death penalty violates the U.S. Constitution by being cruel or unusual punishment?
I think the killing part of it is definitely cruel. And if you've ever seen anyone electrocuted, you wouldn't have to ask that question. As to unusual, we're the only nation in the Western world that continues to execute criminals, and I believe it makes us look savage and uncivilized to most of our allies.
Well, almost 40 other countries still execute criminals, so can you really call the death penalty unusual?
Look at the nations with whom we're most closely aligned, our trading partners.
So China still has the death penalty. South Korea still has the death penalty. But let's get off the who else does it argument, because America has the right to make its own laws. And when someone like Slider...
Greg. His real name is Greg.
Okay, Greg allegedly held the head of a 15-year-old girl underwater until she drowned. That is an awful crime. Why should the state not do to him what he did to her?
Well, Greg hasn't been found guilty yet. But there's a big difference between punishment and revenge.
I think the justice system was set up in part so that we wouldn't take revenge ourselves. And that if we don't properly punish people, then revenge would make a big comeback.
And my response to that would be, revenge is wrong. It is wrong when individuals take revenge on each other, and it is especially wrong when we empower the state to set revenge as an example.
How do you answer people who say that the death penalty deters crime?
I would say that it doesn't deter crime because nations that don't have the death penalty have lower rates of homicide than we do. I would say that it doesn't deter crime because the murder has already been committed. I would say that it doesn't deter crime because life in prison could accomplish the same thing. And I would say it is damn expensive. Just here in California, death penalty trials add over $160 million to the state's budget every year.
So you think the justice system was set up as a bargain?
No, I didn't say that.
Because if it's about money, then why prosecute anything?
I'm talking about extra costs.
Everything's an extra cost, though. Cops are a big cost. The court system is a huge cost, and keeping people in prison is an enormous cost. Can you really say that money is a valid argument?
I can, because that is $160 million that could be spent on hospital beds for the mentally ill, who are incredibly underserved, or spent on cancer research, or spent on foster children, spent on life, instead of killing people. Look, you either believe in the sanctity of life or you don't.
Well, sadly, the person who murdered Mariana didn't value life as much as you do. Thank you for sharing your passion with us, Mr. Monroe. And thank you for joining us as we continue to explore the other side of the coin. Join us next week as we begin the trial of the people versus Greg Slider Raznik. Until then, I'm Rusty Beck, and this is Identity.